My name is Shauna Carpenter. I'm 27 years old. I am a single mom and I have been attempting to divorce my son's father for 2 years now. I reside in Harris County, Texas, which is within Houston, and my court case is within the 311th court. This is not any type of dirty laundry airing. This isn't going to be my personal complaint video. I want to provide information that I don't think is general knowledge, but it should be, because it's 2018 and people aren't staying together like they used to. If it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. Just staying together because of the kids or for any other reason besides you loving someone or that person, it doesn't benefit them. It doesn't benefit anybody. 2 years. I want to say 8 resets, 2 sets of temporary orders. I'm on my 2nd set of attorneys, like $40,000 in now. I feel like I'm 100 years old. I couldn't tell you a single factual thing about Beto or Cruz. It's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I don't think it's important. It's because I had been writing, basically just gathering my thoughts in a blog style. Because I mean, you can see right now how hard it is for me to, you know, focus, because I've just got so much to say. And if I could just put my brain into a Word document, I would. But writing out, you know, what I want to say helps me make sense of things a little bit. And I had no idea I was ever going to publish any of it. All I knew at the time was that it was helping me kind of maybe vent a little bit and just give me another perspective. So our view of kind of what got me to this point to make this video is, one, I don't feel like typing it all out. But I do want to provide the information to anybody if they are looking for it, not looking for it, curious, interested, all of the above. So let's get started. I started the divorce process in October of 2016. My son was around 8 months old. We attempted to reconcile in January of 2017. I knew almost immediately that it wasn't gonna work, but I tried for Jackson. And I could only handle it for 3 weeks. So if you are trying to get a divorce, and I might be wrong, but I think it's all of the courts within Harris County, you have to do what's called a mediation, or at the very minimum, you have to do a mediation. And let me back up by saying all of these court systems, they can operate however they want. They can all be different. Up until today, my case was at the mercy of a judge who is up for re-election the week of what was supposed to be my trial. We were going to do a judge trial, which means there's no jury, but it would be set over 3 days because of the amount of stuff that we had to present. So then we got temporary orders, and then we couldn't come to an agreement. So then we had to go to another mediation, because prior to finals, which is your court date, you have to attend your first mediation and then a second one right before trial. basically they're like, are you sure you can't figure this out? Of course you have to pay for all of that. So upon my final mediation, we found out that the judge had just put forth a rule for her courtroom that all custody cases need to have a family services home visit. So basically, some person from the family services center will come by and speak with you and see your home. I was not aware at the time that you need to plead your case to this person, but that's not really too relevant to what I'm trying to get across today. So anyways, that happened. Then they have a certain amount of time to write their report and then submit it to the courts. So she turned hers in the day before it was due. Then we had to go get another set of temporary orders. Then I had to have an emergency hearing in front of the judge because of issues with my son's father. We saw the associate judge and we basically sat around for a long time and then went to her chambers, to which she listened to our attorneys kind of give her an overview of, you know, what the issues were and what was going on. She decided at that time that we were both to attend a parenting class at the DePelchin Center, and that class lasts 8 weeks every Wednesday. If you missed one, you had to wait 7 more class times for you to take that exact class again. So within 8 weeks, each week is a certain topic, and you have to have the signature of the instructor for every topic. Otherwise, you don't get your certificate. Now, I'm just gonna wrap this up by saying it was like, I felt like I was going to like a probation class or something. They wouldn't let you in past 6:45. If you had to leave early, even by 5 minutes, it doesn't count. And forgot to mention that it's a class from 6:30 to 8:30. So you weren't allowed to bring your child, and you weren't allowed to take more than once a week. You had to go to the location that was specified, and you had to pay for it. So I did that. We were also ordered to purchase and download and only speak through this app called Our Family Wizard. It's terrible, it's outdated. I have to have it because I'm court ordered to. In those temporary orders that are still valid today, we are to continue purchasing and only communicating through this app until Jackson is 18. It costs $100 a year, and I could do a whole video on all the reasons why it's terrible and inefficient, but I had a motion to compel hearing today because my son's father's attorney is withholding information that we need, and this leads me to my point of why I made this video. It wasn't until late this afternoon that I found out that we were getting moved to another date, which is January 14th, I believe. Being how much stuff we have to discuss and go over in my case, we have to have a preferential court date set. So that means only our case is going to be heard. It's going to be the only case on the docket, and we will have the judge's undivided attention. With that said, the January 14th court date is just a court date, not a preferential court date. So it's going to be at least another 3 months after the January date. Now, I started looking into of the elections, because I did know that aside from Beto and Cruz, basically every position within Harris County is, you know, up for election. County commissioner, district attorney, district clerk, county treasurer, board of education, and your municipal court judges. That includes criminal, family, civil, all of them. And they hold your fate in their gavels. That terrifies me. One of the reasons being, if my judge had not granted the motion for continuance that we requested because we were not going to be prepared for the November date because we didn't have all of my son's father's information, we would be conducting our trial within days of this judge being either reelected or replaced on the bench. Now, for me, that is such a huge, huge thing. I think it's absurd that anybody would find her fit to be on the bench making decisions for a child's future when she has that going on in her own life. I think we all know that, you know, judges are supposed to be biased. They're not supposed to have opinions in the courtroom, basically. They're supposed to leave all their preconceived notions, you know, at the door. But we're human, and that's not going to be realistic unless they replace us with, like, robots in the courtroom, which at this point, I'm not even against. Anyways, having the background that she does, I was terrified. That was one of the reasons why I was terrified, that if she didn't grant this, we were going to go in this unprepared and I was going to lose my son. So I fell upon this newsletter. It's basically an attorney that's been doing the attorneying for 33 years now, and he's known for writing a newsletter that has gotten judges off the bench for either not following the law or doing something illegal ethically, or as their own separate laws and regulations they have to follow for being a judge. Other elected officials have sent in their resignations because they've been called out, basically. I stumbled upon his newsletter and his firm and all this stuff that he does, as well as another newsletter, and it's crazy to me that everybody's oblivious to this almost alternate world, like something that is so filled with ethics violations and absolute nonsense from some of the most important people within your community. And it's 2018 and I feel kind of like we're a bunch of cavemen. Maybe I am just so dense and I am oversimplifying it, or the rest of the world needs to catch up. Either way, you should not be on the bench if you violated any of your judiciary rules, regulations, or the law. And I think politics should be kept out of the courtroom, out of all courtrooms. It doesn't matter if it's criminal, it doesn't matter if it's family court, it doesn't matter if it's civil court. That needs to be left at the door, just like their opinions and everything else that, you know, they're not supposed to have as a judge. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And I wish I could say that just dealing with my son's father was the ugliest part, but now I have to kind of regroup and come up with a strategy if I were to go the judge route, which we are not. I have decided that I want to do a jury trial because I'd rather have my son's future in the hands of 12 people, because at least one of them has to have common sense. At least one of them has to see the facts for what they are, and at least one of them won't have anything in their personal life that would affect their decision on my son's future. Which at this point in 2018, almost 2019, I feel like absolutely shouldn't be something that even needs to be discussed. The children are the future. And so even if it wasn't my child, it still bothers me that knowing that there's all these other cases out there that are being treated the same way. You know, I know so many people who have gone through having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on attorney's fees, and then straight up say, it turns out that my first attorneys were making back office deals to, you know, get more money, and the two attorneys were working together, or it took his baby mama failing 7 drug tests before they took the child, and you know, there's domestic abuse and all this other stuff, and the severity of each case and the punishment and the actions that are taken vary upon which court your case just happens to fall in. They literally pull a number out of a hat, and that's your court. That's the judge that has your fate, your child's fate, your family's fate in their hands. That's the one that's going to make the decision, unless you do a jury trial, or if your charges get dropped by the DA. A number on a hat. And the minute that you hire an attorney to do something other than get you into a different court, you're stuck in that court. If you have any complaints about your judge, or if you feel like they cannot do their job as they should be doing it, and you want a different judge, like I did, after you spend a dime on attorney's fees, you don't have that option anymore. You could ask her or him to, you can ask them to recuse themselves, but then not only do you have to worry about them being able to see the situation for what it is, but if they don't agree, or if they're having a bad day and they say no, then you're stuck with that judge and you've pissed them off. So I've spent 2 years just kind of being jerked around, blowing money, and at the end of the day, I know making this video, a lot of it was me venting, but it brings me to the point of I want to do something to change it. I don't want to hear another story of, you know, a friend who it literally took their significant other almost beating them to death before the courts would do anything, before the courts would issue a restraining order, and they're still allowing that person to be in the child's life. Your Facebook feed is filled with Beto and Cruz, and not a single thing about any of the other important elections going on. I truly think that it's a matter of the information not being there. Social media is such a powerful thing, and it's filled with idiots. So this is me I'm trying to make a change. I'm trying to get the information out there. I'm trying to better our children's futures, because as much as we are behaving as if we are cavemen, we have, as a society, gotten to a point where the courts aren't all pro-mom. It's not them shoveling money into the mom's hands for them to go gallivanting across town with. It's, you know, dads have fair chances. And so now anytime I see someone complaining about, you know, how little they see their child, I'm like, okay, what court were you in? Because right now I've had to split custody with my child's father, and I'm having to fight tooth and nail to change that. So you can find those articles and websites that I mentioned earlier. Greg Enos is at www.divorcereality.com, and his newsletter can be found at www.divorcereality.com/the-mongoose. Or you could just go Google the mongoose. I can't at the moment find that other article right off top, so I will link it somewhere around here.